Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I'm out here in the garage for another Garage Gun Talk. Now tonight I don't have any guns here on the table because I don't know how long I'm going to be out here. Just got done with dinner, and I got some work I have to do inside, but wanted to come out and talk to you guys like I always do. I love to talk guns and just chit-chat with you all. And also I really sprained or twisted my ankle today, so I'm kind of hobbling around. I don't think it's too bad because I can put pressure on it. I can stand up and kind of walk around, but my ankle's definitely swollen. So I have it bandaged up right now, and probably going to go inside and put some ice on that and rest for the evening and see what I got to do. I guess hopefully it will start to feel better. If not, I'll have to go see somebody. But I wanted to talk tonight about a comment that I got on one of my videos on my main channel, and it kind of addresses something in the firearms world, and it's I don't want to say it's some people's concept of gatekeeping, meaning that like you have to do certain things in order for you to be a gun owner or a proficient shooter or what have you. There's this mentality in the gun world that I don't like, which is you have to take class after class after class after class. You know, somebody had said in one of my videos that I guess he recently found my channel, made a couple or saw some of my videos, and told me that I'm a horrendous shot. I'm absolutely terrible. I don't know what I'm doing, and I need to go take all these classes. You know, I can tell you as an educator, professional educator, that just because somebody teaches a class doesn't actually mean that they're good at what they teach. And it also doesn't mean that the class that you have to take is relevant to the application of whatever it is you want to learn about. So for example, you guys probably remember high school. You know, you had to take certain classes because it's just part of the curriculum that have absolutely no application to your life today. Same thing when it comes to college. And even in your, you know, if you went to college and you focused on a particular major, you probably even had classes within that particular major that have no, as I said, application to what you do or the actual advancement of that art or science or whatever. So just because you want to go take a class or should take a class or whatever, or think you should take a class, doesn't actually mean it's going to be beneficial. But I'm noticing that in the gun world, there are some people, and that's fine. I call them the tacticians. You know, I've talked about the different types of gun owners and how they look down upon other people. You know, you have the competitive shooters. You know, I know people in the competitive shooting world that virtually will not give me the time of day because I'm not a competitive shooter. They just will not. And it befuddles me because I just try to talk guns, you know. I mean, I would assume that they'd want to talk guns, you know, 2011s and whatever, but whatever, they have little to no interest in talking to me because I'm not one of them. I mean, I like to think of us all being under the same tent, but so forth. But another enclave within the gun community that I find is very exclusive and very elitist are the people that I call the tacticians. The tacticians are the people that like to get kitted out. And by the way, if you like to do this, there's nothing wrong with this. You know, there's nothing wrong with going and taking a class or whatever class you want to take. If you want to just do classes every single week, a different thing, that is perfectly fine in my book. Perfectly fine in my book. Or if you want to get all kitted out and wear the plate carriers and, you know, go out in the woods and roll around in the mud and do that's perfectly fine for me. Okay, I mean, it's perfectly fine in my eyes. You're just a different type of gun owner than I am and have different interests than I do. But it doesn't mean that the Second Amendment doesn't apply to you or doesn't apply to me or we can't get along because we both like guns, right? But I've just noticed that there's this elitist class of tacticians. You know, other channels jokingly refer to them as like the bearded tactitards and so forth. And they're the ones that think you just have to take classes. And if you're not taking classes and you don't have the plate carriers and you're not doing the paramilitary stuff, you're not a real gun owner. You're not part of the 3%. You know, they always have those 3% stickers on their car, and that's fine. But they kind of feel like they're the gatekeepers to the Second Amendment. Now, do I think that it is important to get knowledge and to be, if you're a new gun owner or you're trying to learn to do something, to take some class or, to investigate it and to learn? Absolutely, you should do that. I think it's very important. But the exercise of the Second Amendment should not be predicated on the attendance in a class. Not everybody that we can win to our side is going to be excited or turned on by the thought of being the bearded tactician, wearing the plate carriers and the vests with all the magazines and open carrying AR-15s and have a big beard and the big glasses and wearing the helmet. They're probably going to be turned off by that. And maybe they just want to have a gun for self-defense at the house. They just want to go and buy a Glock 19. It's the only gun they're ever going to buy, the only gun they're ever going to shoot. But we can win them to our side and make them feel inclusive in our community. We can help them, if you see them at the range, or we can take them to the range and we can help them in those ways. But this person, I guess, commented on 5 or 6 of my videos just in a row. It's obviously he found my channel and he was disgusted at me. I mean, it was very obvious. It was very obvious. He was not happy with the content that I create, how I create it, the things I focus on. And he was very upset with me about the way that I shoot. Which, by the way, I think I'm an okay shot. I'm just an average gun guy. Some guns, I really feel like I shoot really well. And other guns, I don't. The thing that I think YouTube gives people a misconception of, because I don't do produced content, I don't film content with a particular concept in mind. I mean, there are times that I will make a video and I think I shoot a gun horribly, and I'm like, oh boy, but I still make a range report on it because I document my personal experiences. There are people on GunTube, I'm telling you guys, that you probably think are amazing shots. You're like, oh my God, they're the most amazing. They're incredible. Let me tell you that some of those guys record those segments 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 times before they get a take where they say the right thing and don't stumble, and they shoot the gun the way that they want to. Or there might be selective editing, and I'm not accusing anybody because I have no information of that. But like the ones where you see somebody, maybe a camera facing them and they're shooting, and then it, on like maybe the other half of the screen, it's the target, Sometimes, I mean, that could be legitimate, but sometimes I think that there could be some selective editing involved. And a lot of times the big content creators are not going to put out a video that makes them look poor or in a bad light. They're just not going to do it. Because what so many people fail to understand is that while you feel like there's a camaraderie with some of these big channels, like them, Robski, right? Hickok 45. They don't know you. You're nobody to them. And their job, their income is contingent upon them producing certain content and making sure that they look good in a certain light and that they have a particular perception. And if you don't think that some of these people have filmed things, refilmed things, and try to get the best takes, then you're absolutely crazy. You're absolutely crazy. And it makes people think that, I think content creators like me, where maybe one gun I shoot really well, and then I pick up another gun and I shoot it poorly, that it's me. Oh my God, you're just a terrible shot all around. Okay, maybe I'm not the world's greatest shot. I don't claim to be. However, I feel like that type of data, that type of content is an important metric to give people. And when I don't shoot a gun right or well, I document it and tell you why. For example, maybe the trigger is just really heavy and it doesn't have, from my style, I like to stage the trigger, and it doesn't have a good staging, or it has a lot of creep, or the way the gun is sized with my hands, it has a particular recoil impulse. One of the things that I tell people is that if you ever watch a channel, okay, and I'm not picking any channel out on this, so don't assume I'm talking about anybody in specifically. If you watch a gun channel and every gun they shoot, I mean every gun they shoot, is awesome, amazing, and they are just a tack driver with it, I promise you that is selectively edited, or it was done in multiple takes. Different guns are going to perform differently for different people. Nobody, I don't care who you are, is going to be able to shoot every gun the same. Even the world's greatest shooters, they're not going to be able to do it. I mean, let's just take someone that's at the peak of their game when it comes to that, okay? We're going to talk about Jerry Miculek, okay? Everyone knows Jerry Miculek. He's a god in some people's eyes, okay? And you see these amazing things he's done in these world records he's held. However, I guarantee you, when that camera is off, or when he's filming something, and he's shooting a gun that maybe he has not personally modified or has not shot before, there's going to be a learning curve, okay? There's going to be a learning curve. I guarantee you, if Jerry Miculek picked up, let's just say, a high point, of course, he's still going to be a great shot because he's naturally a good shot. But trust me, his groupings with a high point or, a car are not going to be as good as his personally tuned, Smith & Wesson Performance Center revolver. It's not going to be. I mean, it'll be good, but if you would look at his, and in the variation he will get in his groupings, in those situations, you would kind of go, "Oh, he's a terrible shot." Well, no, because now you have a perception, I said a lot of you do, that a Jerry Miculek is always on. When he's out there doing those exercises where he does like the different plates, yeah, he'll show himself missing one or two. I guarantee you that there are times he goes out there and misses every plate. He's a human being. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's awesome every single day, all the time. There are people that are very consistently good, absolutely. But I guarantee you, he's probably shot, missed every plate, fumbled with the gun, slow on the trigger, may have even had, and I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything once again, maybe somebody's had a negligent discharge on camera. Hickok's out there doing something, and, his finger's on the trigger, he's sighting in something, and he wasn't ready for it. Do you really think they're going to put that in the video? Do you really think that? Of course not. But it gives people the perception that these people are gods amongst men, and they're not. And so when you see somebody that produces content like me and the philosophy of the content that I create, where I say I'm an average gun guy, and many times when I review a gun, I only have a few hundred rounds through it. And that's it. That's all the time I get, because it's a side project for me, right? I'm not a reloader. I mean, I'm very lucky to have an ammo sponsor, but I don't have the ability to go out and put a case of ammo through a gun before I shoot a review. I just do not have that luxury. I do not have the time. I do not have the ammunition. I just can't do it. So what you see, I think, is a very realistic approach to the guns that I review, and I think gives people a reasonable expectation based off of the criteria that I judge guns off of, and who I am as a person and who I am as a shooter and the things I care about. It gives people a reasonable expectation of the guns if they're looking at them for themselves to purchase or buy or what have you. And I find that the people that go to these videos and are like, "You need to go get training." No, you don't. Training's good. Going and taking a class, absolutely good. but you do not need to take a class to own a gun and be safe with a gun. You don't. I think it's good to get advice, to be taught how to do it. Absolutely. But taking a class should not be the barrier of entry to the Second Amendment, because that would be no different than saying you have to have certain criteria to be able to exercise your First Amendment right. Now, some of us could jokingly say, yeah, you probably should have to take a test before you vote, right? You should at least know who your congressmen and your senators are and how government works. But once you allow a test to be implemented in order for you to exercise a fundamental constitutionally enumerated right, well, it's no longer a right. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about taking class after class? And do you think that you should all have to take classes and go to this class? Because, many of the classes that these people say that I need to take are the ones where they're out like in the woods running and gunning. I'm not going to do a combat carbine course. I have no interest in that. And I always tell you guys that if I'm in a situation where I need the skills that are taught in an advanced carbine combat class, well, the game's already over for me. I mean, when am I ever going to be in a situation where I have a carbine of some type and I'm fighting for my life with plate carriers, extra mags, in the woods? I mean, at that point, the world's come to an end. We're talking about some type of dystopian event has happened, right? And at that point, I don't even know if I'm going to survive to that point, right? And I think a lot of you guys, I think a lot of the things that these classes teach won't always have an application to your reality as an average gun owner, or even in the extreme circumstances will not be something that will be advantageous for you. Many soldiers talk about how they train and, the military trains them in certain scenarios and so forth, but it's completely different once there's bullets being shot back at them and they're in actual combat. It's very different. And for us, yeah, you can go take these courses and prepare for the apocalypse or whatever. But because you're not in combat scenarios all the time, you live 99.9% of your life, like I am right here, just hanging out in your garage, talking to your friends, going to work. You're not of the mentality where you're going to use any of the knowledge from a combat or an advanced combat carbine course. You're just not going to use it. Now, if you want to take it, if you think that is fun and you enjoy that, by all means, take as many of them as you like. Just take as many of them as you like. If that is what brings you joy and happiness, I am all for it. I'm all for it. Go out and have a blast. Go out and have a blast. But don't be elitist about it. Don't be elitist about it. Don't make it a barrier of entry for other people. And I'm curious, for those of you who might lie somewhere in between of what I think and maybe what this other person thought on my main channel, who, by the way, said a few nasty things about me, so he can no longer comment on my channel. What do you think? If you lie in the middle, what's the value? Like, where do you draw a line? Do you think you need a course? Should you take courses all the time? Or the courses you take should be like basic marksmanship? Or are you interested in taking the ones where, you're going to go put 3,000 rounds through a course of fire in 1 week, and you're going to use, shotgun, carbine, pistol, and, you're running and gunning, and you're sleeping in tents and all that kind of stuff. So tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. And do you think that taking a course should be mandatory? Should people take courses in order to own a gun? Because I don't think that they should. Because then it's no longer an enumerated constitutional right. And I don't like that elitism in the gun community. I don't like that attitude, because I think it turns many people off that might just want to own one gun or be an average gun owner, and it makes them not want to support the Second Amendment because these people are elitist and they come across as aggressive and scary to them. So let's have a good discussion in the comment section. I'm curious what your thoughts would be. So, as always, oh, by the way, the word of the day. I always forget the word of the day. You guys like the word of the day. So let me think real fast. Tell you what, because I was talking about advanced carbine courses. Use the word carbine, or carbine, depending on how you pronounce it, in your comment. And I know you watched to the end. So there we go. That's the word of the day. Carbine or carbine. So as always, thanks for watching.